Welcome back to another episode of the News Roundup with Prop News Time. Here we sit down with industry experts to discuss everything that's happening in the industry in India and across the globe. With me today is Mr. Balaji Rao and Abhay Rao. We'll be talking about land, plotted developments, and a whole lot more. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chan.
I want to talk to you all about land deals in India. We've had, so I have some interesting facts over here. In the first half of 2025, in India, we saw about 76 significant land deals. Now, these have primarily been for residential developments, but there's been a handful of commercial and industrial deals that have taken place. That this is much more than what we saw in all of 2024. I'd like to just, for our audience to understand, how are these large, significant land deals, how are they financed? Like how does somebody purchase land?
See, the first indicator of any land deal taking place is that somebody believes in the future of that locality.
Okay.
Because the land deal means the larger the land, naturally, the longer the tenure. But any land deal means that they believe in the next 5 to 10 years.
Right.
That locality will do well and there will be demand. And that's why he's buying land out there to do a development, albeit residential or mixed or whatever it is. The second is, you have to understand that land cannot be financed in India by the through the institutional channels, by the banks, by the financial institutions.
Yeah.
Because RBI has a restriction on lending by any of these institutions for land purchase. So that's the first thing, remember.
Right.
So all land has to be purchased by equity.
Okay.
That means I have to put in my own capital. The company has to put in its own capital.
Right.
Or private equity funds, which are there, like AIFs,
Right.
they can come and fund land acquisitions. Okay. So, but these are all what we call equity oriented. They're not debt oriented.
Right.
There's no debt for land. So it indicates that there is enough capital appetite for land if there are more land deals which are happening.
Right.
It's a good harbinger of saying property will do well. That's why people are putting more capital into buying land, because they do believe that over the next 10 years, real estate will continue to do well and they'll get their returns from the land.
Right.
Okay. The second thing is, whenever you buy land and you put in your own equity, you have to realize it has a cost of capital.
Correct.
So the meter starts ticking, as we call it, from the time you cut the check.
Yeah.
So if the meter starts ticking, that means I have to bring it to the final product faster rather than slower.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to take a bet that my cost of capital will always be overtaken by the price rise.
Correct.
That means if I think my cost of capital is 12%,
Right.
for example, I'm not going to take a bet that the price rise of real estate will be higher than 12%.
Yes.
It might be only 7%.
Correct.
Then I'm running a loss at every year. So I will try and finish a project on time. I'll try and do it faster and quicker. So that's one of the indicators to me to say that in the future, you'll see projects, large projects also being completed on time.
Okay.
Especially those that have been brought by these large institutional developers, corporate developers. They will want to finish the projects on time.
Okay.
They won't be able to drag it on for too long.
Right.
Because these are no more ancestral land where my cost is nothing.
Yes.
You understand?
Yeah.
If my cost is 1 rupee a square foot because, it has come from 30, 40 years back, then I was just a notional cost. It's not really hurting me. But here the cost will actually hurt me.
Right.
Because whether I've taken from the funds or whether I've taken from my parent company, I will have to bear the cost of capital, even if it is equity.
Yeah.
And equity cost of capital is always more than the debt cost of capital.
Absolutely, yeah.
So put all these things together, land deals are again a good indicator that real estate is on a boom time. People are investing in land, they're putting their own capital in land,
Right.
and they're expecting this boom times to continue
Right.
to the medium term at least.
Okay.
Yeah, so see, when we say land deals, we're basically talking about larger parcels of land and bigger money being put in. But by and large, which is why we don't, it's not so common for you and me and most people in the cities to have dealt with land or bought land, which is why we're like, oh, how does one even go about it? But the fact is, in a lot of other places, it's very common to buy land and build your house on that land in most of our tier 2, tier 3, or holiday spaces, this like a Goa and stuff like that. Also during COVID, so many people had moved there and who decided to stay back kind of faced this issue where they were like, oh, how do we go about this? And that's when one realizes, ki, yes, you cannot, you don't get a loan for buying land.
Right.
But once you buy the land, then you can get a loan to build on that land and create on it. But to purchase that land upfront, it has to be done all on equity.
Right.
So, which is why it's become so different in urban and rural.
Yeah.
Land is completely different between the two. City buying has to be done at a corporate level where it has to be planned strategically because you're thinking in terms of 500 crores, like you said, a ticking clock. How do I get back my money? Even if it's a tiny parcel of that I've taken to construct 2 buildings.
Right.
But in rural areas, land is a completely different ball game altogether.
Well, so I want to get into plotted development, what you're saying, but at first I wanted to, just elaborate a little bit more, because here actually my question was more focused on these like development. Say like there've been a lot of deals in Mumbai, topped the list. It had 24. It's seen 24 deals in the first half of 2025. Bangalore has come second with 15 deals. It's still largely concentrated in metro cities, tier 1 cities. But why is that? Why is there still more development happening in the bigger cities?
See, that's an interesting question to debate upon, because you see, in India, all our cities have not really come of scale. Okay? And that's partly due to economic infrastructure, what I call. That means, see, for any city to come of scale, you need a lot of economic activity. I need a job.
Correct.
I need to do business there. So I won't just go to a city just to relax. Those days are gone where it's a retirement city. You understand? So those economic sort of activity centers are more in the few tier 1 cities.
Right.
Which we all know, whether we say MMR, NCR, Bengaluru, Chennai, Hyderabad, Ahmedabad. So there are a few big cities where there is a bit of economic activity going on.
Yeah.
In a smaller tier 2 city, they're still trying to get there. A Jaipur, a Indore, a Bhopal, a Coimbatore, a Lucknow, a Visakhapatnam, they're all still trying to get there.
Correct.
You understand?
Yeah.
So when they get there and when the economic activity starts buzzing, that's when you start having people coming into a city. A city grows not in a generic manner. It grows more from people coming in from outside.
Okay.
You see?
Okay.
So it's not organic growth. See, if you see, how did Mumbai grow? How did Bengaluru grow? It hasn't grown just organically.
Yeah.
With population growth or the local population.
Yes. Yeah.
It grows because the migration comes in a lot. And why does the migration come in? Because there's activity. Either there are cotton mills 100 years back, or today there's some other IT park. So it keeps on evolving, but there's some economic infrastructure which is being created.
Right.
So see, tier 1 already has all the infrastructure, so obviously it's always going to be prime even for land or anything.
Absolutely, yeah.
Tier 2, on the other hand, like I was explaining, that it is still on the verge of coming up, so it's brand new and it's open to interpretation. But in India, we also have this very interesting one where we have something in between tier 1 and tier 2. Places like Pune, Gurgaon, which don't fall under either category. And
no, but Abhay, they are not really falling in between. They're satellite towns.
Exactly.
Literally.
So satellite towns have again changed land a lot,
Yeah.
Because here again, you can buy slightly bigger spaces. So whether it's residential or commercial, you're not just buying one office space or two office spaces, which might be able to do in a Bombay. The minute you go to a Pune, you might be able to buy enough land to do a township, a mini township or a small commercial IT park,
Right.
which changes the equation completely, because you cannot again compare the prices then of buying that same land and trying to set up an IT park in Thane vis-a-vis trying to set it up in Hinjwadi.
Right.
It's a completely different ball game altogether.
True. So all in all, to answer and to
Yeah.
debate, why is it in tier 1 or, as he says, in satellite townships of tier 2?
Yeah.
Because I'm not saying Pune is a satellite township, but I look at Mumbai, Pune as one continuum. The MMR might stop. It's one continuum, believe me, the way it is growing.
Yeah.
So it's a large megapolis, frankly speaking. So all these sort of places have economic buzz.
Right.
Without that economic buzz, it's very difficult for a tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 city to make it, because it cannot. And this is something which is very sensitive in today's world, because migration all over is very sensitive. Even a developed country like US is against it.
Right.
Most other developed countries have pro and cons against it. So, but people have to understand that for any city to grow, it is only growing because it says, look, I have jobs out here. You can do a business out here.
Right.
You can be a trader out here.
Yeah.
You can be a professional out here.
Right.
Because it's growing. So
Correct.
everything changes once a city is growing.
Correct.
So why does a city grow? So suddenly it's not that everybody, local population suddenly expands.
Yes.
That's what I'm trying to say. So there is a lot of migration which takes place into a city.
Right.
So why does the migration takes place from all over? Because they have jobs out there. Why does the job happen? Because there's a factory.
Correct.
There's an office.
So
You understand?
Yeah.
So unless you create that, how will you grow?
Right.
And when you go and when people are coming, and if you tell them don't come, I don't want you, then who is going to do it? Then you will shrink.
Yeah.
You understand? So this is something which people have to really think about, because like if I come from Kolkata, so if you see a place like Kolkata, till the 70s, it was one of the biggest growth areas.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Industry-wise. And then there was a change in policies, politics, and so they didn't want it. So they actually collapsed.
Right.
Industries all moved out.
Right.
Once industries moved out, there's no migration into Calcutta.
Correct.
There's an outward immigration.
Yeah.
Okay? The people are moving out of it. So naturally the cities struggles. Today it is getting revived again with a lot of efforts, but it becomes a bigger and bigger challenge because you've collapsed it.
Correct.
So the same thing can happen to any city if they are not careful, and it can happen to a country also.
Correct.
That's why the dissidents of the policies which some countries follow will always tell you sometimes migration is good, because you need that migration in order to get your economic activity off the ground.
Correct.
So it all depends upon the economic activity. But the good point is the government is trying to push more and more people to go into tier 2, tier 3 cities also with incentives, and because we want them to go all over.
Right.
We want somebody to set up an IT park even in Nasik or Kolhapur or Sholapur or Aurangabad or anywhere else,
Yeah.
So it's very important for people to slowly disseminate, their capital as well as their economic activities all over a state, all over a country, rather than continue to be there. But it's a chicken and egg.
Right.
Because they will say, if I go there, I don't get the people.
Right.
But if you don't go there, people will never come there.
Correct. Well, maybe like states like Tamil Nadu right now, they're pushing to be the next manufacturing hub. Or there's UP that's encouraging a lot of industries to come and set up shop. Do you think, actions like this from a state level help build the economic infrastructure?
They do. That's why they're all trying to do that. And there is a lot of, but as I said, there's a chicken and egg. So what states do generally when they want to promote a tier 2, tier 3 city, they have to be the first ones to promote that economic activity. So you set up your own industrial park.
Like
Okay.
the state sets up
Yeah.
its own SEZ.
Because it's going to be having a longer gestation period for people to make money. So that's when the state governments and central governments have to step in, because the private and developer might not want to do it.
Right.
Okay. So they set it up and they
Yeah.
act as a catalyst for people to come to that city
Okay.
by giving incentives.
Okay.
You understand?
Yeah.
But if you can do that, incubation centers and set up these industrial parks or IT parks, or I think your tier 2, tier 3 will grow. And when they grow, then there has to be a migration to that place. Because is somebody ready to go to Indore?
Right.
So see, I think India will have to decide, or actually we will not decide one or the other. We're going to have to do both. We're going to have to use both what we see and learn from a place like a China, as well as what we see in other places in the West. Now, in China, they realized that, hey, if you want to start or make manufacturing your go-to, so say if Tamil Nadu has decided manufacturing is what they are going to give a big boost to, then, like I said, getting people to different places is not easy. So what they did was decide to have different places specialize in manufacturing different things. So then automatically, if you are someone within that industry or wanting to work in that industry, so say if if they decide ki, hey, we will be the ones who make all the sports equipment in India. These 5 villages, we're doing all these big factories, set up this land. We have this forest, which is from where we're getting these renewable wood, and all of that is everything has been set up.
That can
Then
only
everyone
happen.
and anyone who wants to do sports manufacturing will think, hey, Tamil Nadu is worth going to.
Correct. But that can only happen, Abhay, in China because there's more of centralized planning.
Correct. But like I said, India will have to do a mixed match of both.
So we'll have to.
Ideally, we'll have to do a mixed match of both.
So in India, we have more of a federal nature, and states are allowed to compete with each other, and they do compete very strongly. So they have to compete. So, it's not that one state can run away with, say, automobile manufacturing.
Yeah. Or say, like, universities cannot be exclusively to 2 or 3 states. They have to be in every state.
There will be competition, but it will depend a lot upon, as I'm saying, how the states set up that infrastructure to act as a catalyst. So to answer a based question like why is land not being purchased so rapidly in tier 2, tier 3, my answer to that would be that unless you have economic activity rapidly rising and expanding in tier 2, tier 3 cities, whichever they are, whatever they are, then you will find migration taking place. Then you will find people wanting to buy land and do large projects. That's my simple answer.
All right. Okay. So now, we've been talking about land at a macro level to go micro, like what you had picked up earlier. In the last 5 years, we've seen a boom in plotted development projects across. These are residential plotted development projects. So builders are taking large parcels of land, they're giving you your basic infrastructure, and then selling you individual plots of land. Now, between 2022 and 2025, there were about 4.5 lakh residential plots that were introduced into 10 major markets in India. These are tier 1, tier 2 cities. In just this year, we've seen over 45,000 plots being launched. My first, yeah. So it's interesting. So my first question is land precious everywhere? Like, everybody wants to buy land, but is it worth buying land everywhere?
See, as I commonly tell in most seminars or workshops, the Mark Twain quote that they don't make land anymore, so buy into it, is not entirely true. Because land depends upon the infrastructure you put on it.
Right.
Okay. As I said, let's say India has a land area of 3.3 million square kilometers.
Okay.
Okay. Of which half of it, let's say, is habitable, because the other half can go into forests, lakes, mountains, and all that. So we take about 54% of it as agriculture and habitable.
Right.
1%
Mhm.
of this land area
Yes.
would be roughly about 32,000 square kilometers.
Right.
Okay. If I take the entire population of India, 140 billion people, divide by 4, because that's a household usually is of 4 people.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it?
Yeah.
So, that 1.4 billion people will need 350 million
Homes.
homes.
Okay.
There's 350 million homes, even if I give them one uh, gunta, which is 1,000 square feet roughly, or I give you a little bit more than one gunta, 1,500 square feet land.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about landed property.
Yes.
You know, it's not a high rise or anything. It's just ground plus one also if he wants to build.
Yeah.
It can all fit into the 32,000 square kilometers.
That's very interesting.
So, if somebody says, oh, we don't have land for the population, I find it funny because all I need for my population is 1% of the land.
Yeah. That's a very interesting fact. Yes.
So, why is then land so expensive?
Yeah. Why is?
Because there's so much land. No?
Yes.
So, land is expensive because it's not infrastructure.
Okay.
If I sit on Malabar Hill or Pali Hill, you know, which is very expensive in Bombay, or if I sit in Luchin's bungalow zone in Delhi,
Yeah.
okay, if I sit in these areas and then I move from that area into 200 kilometers
Right.
or 100 kilometers,
Yeah.
or sometimes even 50 kilometers,
Mm-hmm.
it can suddenly go in an area where there's not much infrastructure
Correct.
and the land price will completely switch,
Yes. Yeah.
isn't it? And it's just as the crow flies, it might be just 50 kilometers.
Yeah.
So that is exactly why townships and these planned communities are the ones that have come up where people are buying land. Yes, people have started buying land for multiple reasons. I think after COVID, one, people realized they want more space. They realized cities might not be the best place for everything. So people started exploring outside places. Two, another thing is just basic sustainability. When you're realizing more and more, and every day there's a new report literally coming out, especially out here, about this food being contaminated and this being found in that masala and this having that, with
Yeah.
so many chemicals and so many issues and problems all over. People have gotten more health conscious, more aware now. So they realize, then what do? You have to try and become self-sustainable.
Correct.
To become self-sustainable, yes, in a city it becomes tough. You can do maybe your urban gardening and whatever little bit you can do in your balcony and window and all. But by and large, if you're not bound to a city, most people have realized is, hey, you can go to a tier 2, tier 3, where you still have everything, and you can buy yourself a nice bungalow with a big garden, grow your own fruits, veggies, do what you like, have a slightly more sustainable lifestyle. And that is happening world over now. People are realizing, because I guess there were no real checks and balances earlier. Now they've started to come, and capitalism didn't really care about the population, more only about their profit. So things, no, that's just the way the world has
Yeah,
worked.
but
There's nothing good or bad about it. It's just the way the world is.
no,
But all
that
of these are reasons that have pushed people back towards going, saying, hey, we will do self farming again.
no, but
I will
that
grow my own thing. I
but
will do
that
my own thing. I will
but
get my own solar power paneled generator on my roof.
correct,
I will have my own water sewage treatment plant.
Yeah.
correct. But that, Abhay, is only a small segment of it. I'll tell you why. Because out here, when you're talking about this large project, she's talking about large developers buying and selling you plots of 2,000 square feet.
Correct.
So they are not, you can't really have kitchen gardens and organic farming. So that's one segment of people who are going and buying even agricultural land to make farmhouses and then do organic farming.
Yeah.
You understand? That's one segment, and it usually will belong to the richer class. That is there, there's no doubt. But I think what you're talking about, your report is indicating, is developers launching large plotted development.
Yes.
One could be because of COVID, there was a reason why everybody. Two, emotionally, people like to own land because, as I just told you, there's always an impression land is not made.
Right.
Three, it starts giving you a second home feeling that this is 50 kilometers away, so a weekend I'll go there and, I can rest out there and it's a nice bungalow I have. So there is a lot. 4, it can create a sort of income, because tomorrow if that large development, he says, I can also rent out your place, a villa for the night or for a
A lot of
weekend.
companies that
Correct.
for that.
Correct.
So I'm earning some income.
Correct.
So there are a lot of reasons why it's growing by leaps and bounds, this whole concept.
Alibaug is full of those, right?
But I would always tend to believe that people, before they buy, that is what we discuss out here to help the people at large, as the stakeholders are, they should be careful, because typically a land which is well infrastructure, well connected, has some historical importance, has a tourist attraction, like you said, Alibag, or if somebody says like
Or a
they do,
Haridwar, or
or
even
Ayodhya, or
near
whatever it is,
Ayodhya
that is
now,
big,
the
that is
Ram
good,
Mandir. Exactly.
because they have some importance. But if I just do it in the boondocks,
Yeah.
you understand, and I just say that I've taken 50 acres and I made some, 2,000 plots, and if you have it, because it'll go up dramatically, it might not.
Okay.
It might not.
Okay.
Because everybody can make that sort of a thing.
Yes.
So it should have something, a scenic beauty,
Some
you know,
advantage.
or it is a tourist attraction like the Goa and the Alibag, or it has historical importance, religious importance. It has to have something before somebody goes there.
Yeah.
Or there is a lot of it in that area, so it has become an ecosystem of its own. So many townships have
Like
come.
Alibaug.
Yeah, like a Lonavala.
Okay.
Okay. It has, there's so many, so it's become an ecosystem.
Right.
Maybe partly because of climate, but it's not really that cold. But
Yeah.
it's still an ecosystem sort of a thing.
Understood.
So that has to be seen.
Okay.
But sometimes unscrupulous developers sometimes will take it in the boondocks out of nowhere and just say, because I've got 100 acres and I'm trying to sell you some dream, and everybody thinks that he should buy his 1,000 square feet of land and he can go there over a weekend, that appreciation might not be there. You can utilize it by going there, no doubt, if it is connected. So I think this is yet to play out, how this is going to happen. Because unlike in other developing countries where you have great infrastructure to drive very easily within 2 hours, here within 2 hours you might not even get out of the city. So forget about reaching your destination.
Correct.
Okay. So there are pros and cons in this game. But it's interesting to see larger developers coming in and trying to develop an entire ecosystem for plotted development.
Right. In the last couple of years, we've also seen a lot of big brands get into plotted development projects. We've seen branded projects. We've also seen a lot of sleek marketing. Do you think that might be one of the drivers of this sudden uptick in people wanting to take up this
Definitely, because you see, when you have a large developer with a large advertising budget, he makes the brand awareness, he makes the project awareness, and people, are tempted. And especially most of these are sold on the basis of not just being a good second home or something, but also that there's going to be appreciation.
Correct.
So yes, people do take it. That's why I said buyers and investors should be careful. You have to do certain amount of due diligence on the location, connectivity, gentry, all the amenities as promised. Because even earlier, around these whole areas, there were a lot of people, and that was the unorganized sector selling you. Both agricultural as well as non-agricultural land. And most of them don't even reach any stage of good development.
So many of them were actually just scams and frauds, literally, where they had no intention of ever selling the land or didn't even have the permits to sell the land. It was not even properly zoned, but they will just set up a small company on paper, show you that they're selling everyone these small plots of land, and collect the money and disappear.
Right.
Those were literally, that's why land had the biggest real estate defaults and scams that were happening, which is why any branded or known player getting into the market makes a lot of sense, because you're literally the only safe place within there, at the moment. So you get to really cash in on that. You don't even need so much of a celebrity endorsement anymore. You can just cash in on the fact that you're big enough to deliver on your promise.
Understood.
But most of them are, like I said, such small players that there's no chance of that development ever coming through.
But my last word on it before we move on is to say that whoever is buying a plot of land should be careful to say that in mutation his name comes up.
Right.
You understand?
Yeah.
Because that's the one thing in land, at least your Satbara records and everything should reflect your name.
Yeah.
And because see, in a city it doesn't, because your society's name
Correct.
gets reflected.
Yeah.
Correct.
But in these places, when you are buying land, so they should be careful to ensure that it is being mutated in their favor,
Right.
which sometimes doesn't happen.
Right.
And if it doesn't happen, then your ownership can be questioned.
But I think some of these big guys are offering those, giving you that information about how your name will appear in the records, and especially the ones that are offering to do everything online, including your payment, your documentation, all of that. They are also telling you
Correct.
that
So that is why I said big names will make a
Yeah.
difference, because they might be able to do it.
Yeah.
But these are some of the ways to mitigate the risks associated.
Yeah.
So which is why wherever they are, at least there's a little bit of a slight safety
That's
factor
it.
if you're just doing it as an investment.
Yeah.
But most of the time, the thing is, see, these are also very opportunistic investments. So someone will tell you or your relative or your uncle that, hey, I just bought a plot of land in a so and so farmhouse or beside a beach somewhere or beside a farm somewhere, and we've got this 1 acre that we're trying to divide between 5 of us or 10 of us and get into it. And but it's mostly done in those kind of things where everyone thinks, hey, you're getting this great deal at a below market price that you rush into. And most of them, like I said, will all be these small things, which is a major chance. Some will work, some won't.
Right.
So if you're doing this as a planned real estate investment, thinking, hey, I want a second home to be one of my assets in my investment portfolio, then you're way better off not going for an opportunistic buy,
Right.
but going with a known builder, a known developer in whichever areas they are doing it.
Yeah. So, well, since you touched upon the trend of people buying these plots as second homes and then building second homes, after which you realize, hey, maybe it's better to put it out on rent. That's also gaining popularity. You have a couple of these developers that are saying, we'll build the house for you, we'll put it up on rent, we'll maintain it. So it sounds like sounds like a lucrative deal. But if someone were to be considering that, any word of caution that you all have?
See, in real estate, the return you get out of rentals is usually not sufficient to cover your cost of actual capital involved. So most of us depend upon appreciation also. So typically, the appreciation has to be there. And for the appreciation to happen, again, you fall back on the connectivity, the infrastructure, the gentry, all that becomes important.
Correct.
Okay? The second thing is, in plotted development, what will you rent out?
If you build your house, then you rent it out.
So now it changes the equation. No?
Right.
When you build a house and everything, it becomes expensive.
Correct.
And so it depends. Yes, you do get usually rental expenses which you get by that way, because you don't get long stay rental.
No.
You'll get short stay.
You might just about be able to offset your overall expenses.
Your
kind of
overall
thing.
maintenance expenses, your overall overheads. It doesn't really give you return on cost of capital.
So it sounds lucrative, but
Yeah,
you
it's
should
just-
check the numbers.
And more than that, it'll end up being more like gravy on top than anything else. And it'll, at the end of the day, big money will be made when you are able to resell it. Or, like I said, or you might not be able to resell it, in which case then you might as well use it yourself and make the most of the asset.
Yes. That's a wrap for today. Thank you so much for tuning in to the News Roundup with Prop News Time. Do share your thoughts and feedback in the comment section below. If there's something you'd like to hear us talk about, let us know and we'll take it up next time. Please follow us on our social media handles and hit the bell icon for regular notifications. Until next time, thank you.